Podcast. I'm your host, Gino Scala. This is episode number 61. And we're going to revisit the Suzanne Morphew homicide, one that I've been following since it was really initially reported out in Colorado. She's a very attractive, fit, Caucasian woman in her 40s, beauty queen type attractive. And her husband, Barry Morphew, is a very attractive, athletic, successful construction worker. So they really do seem like the perfect American couple. And in many ways they were. They had 3 children, I believe, 3 or 4 children. And they were all adults now. And, well, as the investigation unfolded, it turned out that both parties were actively involved in affairs. So clearly the marriage was over for all intents and purposes. Then Barry Morphew, the husband, reports her missing. Anyway, they did their investigation, and along the way, several bits and pieces of this investigation have come to light. His phone, they did cell phone dumps on both parties, and they found that at one point he was running around the house, back and forth, outside the house, where they found evidence of animal drugs, hypodermic drugs, usually used to knock out an animal. And he admits to using those in the past for knocking out elk and deer and then sawing off their rack, their horns, which he liked to mount on his wall. Highly illegal to do it that way, but he admits to doing it. He had a poison dart gun, was apparently very good at it. He was able to collect well over 50 sets of horns in this manner. Theory was that he was at one point chasing his wife around the outside of the residence, potentially with the dart gun, in an attempt to knock her unconscious. He denies that. He instead says he was killing chipmunks, and this was his way of doing it. The chipmunk defense has been now born. Well, the GPS on his truck revealed that the day of her missing or the day after, his truck drove in a completely opposite direction from his residence, which he rarely ever drives in that direction because it doesn't really lead to anywhere. And then turned around and came back the other way and went several hundred miles in the direction towards more populated cities. He lived in the mountains. So as the investigation continued, the police couldn't understand why he went the opposite direction first and then went, 100 miles in the other direction. Well, as it turns out, they did find her bicycle helmet in the grass in that opposite direction. Now, the theory is, and the strong belief is, that she had been out bicycling, which is one of the things she liked to do through the mountains of Colorado, and she was abducted while doing that. They did locate her bike after several months. They located her bike down and covered up by vegetation in a ravine. And that is along a normal route. And after several years, they found Suzanne Morphew's body, or at least the remains, 100 miles down the road in a ravine or a wash. And the good news, it's bad news, of course, that she was found dead, but that was expected. The good news is that her body was relatively intact. The bones, the skeletal remains, the clothing, and even some skin and muscle tissue. So the medical examiner hopes that a lot of information can result during her autopsy. So we're waiting for that now. Now, in the interim, between the crime and 3 years later finding the body, the district attorney did indict Barry Morphew, charge him with her murder, a no-body case. And on the day the trial was going to start, the district attorney withdrew the charges, which is a tactic that they'd use. Charge him, indict them, hope that he offers to make a deal. During the deal, he admits to certain things and kind of closes the case for him. But they waited all the way up until the judge slammed the gavel to start the trial, and Barry Morphew did not say anything. A no-body case is a very, very difficult case to win. So the district attorney withdrew the charges with prejudice, meaning that they can recharge him for her homicide somewhere down the road once they get more information, which they now have. So I think I'm just going to jump to my prediction here. I think I knew all along Barry had done it. He may have gotten away with somewhat of a perfect crime, but when are these people going to learn that vehicles today have GPSs and cell phones have GPSs? Why on earth are you running around the outside of your house you're not shooting chipmunks, you're trying to kill your wife, or at least disable her with a poison dart, and you have your phone on you? Why would you be so stupid? And thank God these criminals are not brainiacs, because we already have too many unsolved homicides. But you never take a cell phone with you in the process of committing a murder, hiding the elements of the murder, before the murder, or after the murder for weeks at a time. Now, it's easy for me to say because I rarely take my phone out of the house. Now, if I'm going on a long trip, I'll take it just in case something happens. But if I was going a long direction to bury a body, I'm not going to take my phone. And, you have that used against me. If I get a flat tire, I'll change it myself. If I run out of gas, I'll walk to a gas station, whatever is required. I'll flag someone down and ask to borrow their phone, whatever. But I'm not bringing anything that's going to trap me and associate me with a particular location where potential evidence of the homicide or the crime is located. And if I had to drive somewhere, I would find an old pre-70s, pre-80s vehicle that did not have GPS. GPS was not a thing back those days. It did not exist. So you get an older vehicle. Now, this only works in the case of something premeditated. And this is definitely something premeditated. He had planned certain things with his employees. He had tricked them and lied to them as well in order to establish some sort of alibi for him, and so forth. So, getting back to what I predict will be the end result, Barry Morphew will be charged with her murder. They will have a clear track of his activities when all this information is put together. They will have evidence of how she was killed through the autopsy. They will be able to put him near the spot where the helmet was found, near the spot where the bicycle was found, where the abduction occurred, and near the spot where her body was found. So they will have a preponderance of circumstantial evidence. All of this is considered circumstantial. He's not ever going to admit to it. He's just not that kind of person. And he's convinced himself he didn't do it. His family is certainly convinced, the children. But everyone else, law enforcement and so forth, believe he was the one to kill her. And he'll end up getting 25 years to life. Probably with the potential of parole for some mitigating circumstances, perhaps crime of passion because she was having an affair and things of that nature. So that is this update on the Suzanne Morphew. This is episode number 61 of Monday Morning Detective, the podcast, and we'll update you further as the information develops. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.